Good morning. Today we're going to talk about a U.S. rifle. We don't talk about U.S. rifles here much because, well, I don't own any U.S. rifles right now, and they're all foreign. But a friend of mine offered to loan me his rifle so that I could show it, and here it is. I'm going to show it. What I've got here is the 1903 A3 rifle. This one is made by Remington, and it was made in 1943. The 1903 A3 obviously is a descendant of the 1903 rifle. The '03 rifle was introduced in 1903, obviously, and it kept until in the late 30s when the production of the M1 started picking up. And the M1 was actually more desirable because it was semi-automatic and it was eventually took over the role of the number one rifle from the 1903 A3. The '03s were made by Springfield and they were made by Rock Island Armory. Rock Island Armory stopped making them in 1911 and shut down, so it was just Springfield. Um, during they were used during World War One, and even though Winchester and Remington were producing the 1917s under contract with the British, the 1903 continued to be the number one rifle for the U.S. During World War II, what happened was that the British were in trouble. Everybody may remember the Dunkirk incident or heard about the Dunkirk incident, where the British evacuated Europe and they left all their weapons behind, like hundreds of thousands of pieces of equipment. So they needed rifles. So what they did was they went to the United States and asked if we could produce rifles for them. So Remington was the ones that decided that they could do that. So they bought up the equipment from the Rock Island that was left over from the Rock Island Armory, and they started producing 1903s. The British wanted different specifications for the 1903s. They wanted it in 303. They wanted specific contour for the stocks and so forth. And they were in negotiations. And well, World War II broke out for the United States, so Remington had to say, no, we can't do it for you. We have to do it for our own country. So there, there it was. Remington started making 1903s for our government. Well, they decided that they could find a better way of doing this and a cheaper way to do it. And one of the ways that they figured to do it is at the time they were taking all the parts for the gun and they were milling them. And what milling is they have a piece of metal and they cut it out and make the piece that they want. Well, they decided they figured out if they stamped it instead, that it was easier to produce because you just put a piece of metal in and stamp it and off it went. And it was cheaper, it was lighter, and so the actual 1903 began to change. Also with Remington, they had a company called Smith Corona, and Smith Corona was the ones that were making typewriters at the time, and they ended up using them to also put together rifles. So this is a Remington here. You can tell it's a Remington because Remington Parkerized their guns, which meant it's kind of like bluing, but not really. They use high heat, and it actually is much better than bluing. Is for preservation of the gun, and it's green. This one, so even though Smith Corona, which is I had a Smith Corona that I had given to my son, um, it still had Remington parts on it. So Smith Corona blued their stuff, but then there would be green parts. Like on mine, the action parts were green, and because they were Remington parts, they were all interchangeable. So where was I about the? So they started making these, and they started making them cheaper. One of the other things they did was they loosened up on tolerances. Now, not tolerances in the weapons part, but tolerances in parts that really are non-critical or non-vital, and that sped things up quite a bit. So here we go. Here's the butt plate, and it's got a trap door where people put cleaning kits inside. This one I checked doesn't have a cleaning kit. The bolt action itself is one that they've borrowed from Bowser, and you can see it's still the same as far as it's, safety off. Put safety on, you can't open it, you can't shoot. You put it on middle, and what that does is you still have safety, you can't shoot, but you can remove the 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 bolt for maintenance or whatever you need to do. You put it back in, and you take it safety off, shoot it. There you go. Bolt action has a 5-round magazine, and it used 30-06, which people that have shot 30-06 know that it's a hell of a round. It's got a lot of power. So what I've done here is you have a lot of people have ARs and they shoot their 223, 5.56 ammunition in the AR, and this is the AR round here. Let's see. There we go. This is the 30-06 round. So it's a lot bigger, and it has a lot more of a kick, and it has a lot more penetrating power and whatever. So it was a big round. And anybody that's taken their 30-06 rifle to the range, um, after 20, 30 rounds, your shoulder starts feeling it. So it makes a big difference. Now the magazine itself, I'm going to load. I got some dummy rounds. They're dummy rounds. And so there we go. And when you put it, a round goes in. I'm going to catch it rather than have it go flying. Now this has a feature on it that what you do. It's called a cutoff. It's over here on the side. So you put your you put it in, and you put your cutoff. So you have your one round that's in the chamber now. Shoot it, bang, comes out, and then it won't pick up another round. This is made for single shot. So you put your single shot in, and it loads. So it's made for so that they said that the single shot would keep from wasting ammunition and also increase accuracy because you have the one shot to worry about instead of other shots. I don't think what else it has here. On the 03s and the 03A3s, it always says right on the ring. I can't see it. Well, take it from me. It says here on the ring. It says U.S. It says Remington, model 03A3, and then the serial number. You know where it was made or how long ago it was made. Up here on the barrel, it has RA with a little bomb, and then underneath it has, or next to it, it has the date that the barrel was made anyway. So you can assume that when the barrel was made was when the gun was actually put together and made. Now the sight. One of the things that they changed on this was one of the things they changed on the for the 03A3s from the 03s was they changed the sights. They simplified the sights. The sights on the 03 were complicated. The ladder type sight that was took time and resources to make. Well, they have this one here. It's relatively cheap and relatively inexpensive. And what you have is on the side you have a knob, and this knob works for windage. And then on the top you have this little peephole thing that you push, you pull, and it's graded on the outside so you can tell for height. So that's for your height, and then you have your windage on the side. 5 round magazine. This is a solid gun. It was between it and its dad, the 1903. It saw a lot of use and was was really vital in the war. And that they're still around is still an amazing fact too. That the they usually, the ones that we have anyway, are pretty clean and pretty powerful guns. Um, anyway, that's the 03A3. They stopped making them in June of, well, Remington stopped making them in June of 1944, and they made 1.9 million of them. And that's about it for this. It's a beautiful gun, and it shoots great, and my son enjoys his. In fact, when I went down to visit him in Arizona this past spring, we went out to the range to shoot, and it was shooting beautiful. Oh, I guess one thing I did forget: the bayonet. This is the bayonet for the 03A3, and it's a pretty good sized bayonet. They always look bigger on the. They are big, but they always look bigger on the screen. This is a bayonet. This is the actually it's an old bayonet that they continue to use up through all this. The M1 had a shorter, like a knife type bayonet, but this is the old school from the turn of the century or early 1900s bayonet. So that's our, of course. Ah. All right. Anyway, but that's the. There you go. And I thank my friend Luke for letting me borrow his gun so I could show it. Um, and it's a wonderful gun. So, all right. Well, thank you.